The world watched closely as the President of the United States and the Chinese President sat down for one of the most highly anticipated meetings of the year. Two of the most powerful figures on the planet, representing the world's largest economies, came face to face to reset relations after months of trade tension and political rivalry. Inside a heavily guarded conference hall, the atmosphere was tense but polite. The US leader arrived with a clear message: America wants fair trade and reduced barriers. The Chinese president entered with equal determination, defending his nation's right to grow and insisting that partnership, not pressure, should guide their future. What followed was a series of intense negotiations that stretched over several hours and ended with a framework agreement that could reshape global economics. According to official briefings from both sides, the United States will reduce tariffs on Chinese imports by roughly 10 percentage points, lowering them from about 57% to 47%. This move is aimed at calming a trade war that has hurt businesses in both countries and rattled global markets. The tariff reduction covers a wide range of goods, from electronics to industrial machinery. It also pauses several investigations into Chinese export practices that had threatened to reignite a full-scale trade conflict. In return, China has agreed to delay and partially suspend its export restrictions on rare earth minerals, the critical materials used in everything from smartphones and electric cars to fighter jets. For months, these restrictions had caused concern across industries worldwide, as China controls the majority of global rare earth supply. The suspension, which will last for at least a year, is being described as a goodwill gesture to keep global supply chains stable and prevent further escalation. One of the biggest wins for the American side came in agriculture. China will resume large-scale purchases of US soybeans and other farm products. Farmers across America had been struggling since exports to China nearly stopped amid trade tensions. The New Deal reopens that massive market. Another unexpected but significant breakthrough came on the issue of synthetic drugs. China has committed to tightening its controls on the export of precursor chemicals used to make fentanyl, a deadly opioid that has contributed to a major health crisis in the United States. In exchange, the US will reduce the special tariffs linked to those chemical exports. Officials described this as a rare example of trade policy and law enforcement working hand in hand. Technology was also on the agenda, though both sides treaded carefully. While there is still no full agreement on high-end semiconductors or artificial intelligence hardware, negotiators said future discussions will continue. Reports suggest that the two countries are exploring limited cooperation on older chip technologies, while keeping restrictions on the most advanced systems. There was also mention of a possible arrangement involving the Chinese-owned social media app TikTok and its operations in the United States. For global markets, this meeting sends a powerful signal. The two biggest economies are not heading toward total decoupling, at least for now. Instead, they are seeking to manage competition without letting it spiral out of control. Business leaders around the world have already welcomed the news, saying the agreement will bring a measure of stability after months of uncertainty. Behind the diplomatic smiles, however, lies a much deeper story, one of strategy and survival. For the United States, reducing tariffs helps lower costs for consumers and businesses, while giving exporters a chance to regain access to the Chinese market. For China, securing a pause on rare earth export restrictions prevents further sanctions and keeps vital revenue flowing. Both sides walked away with something to claim as a success. But analysts caution that the truce is fragile. The core disputes between Washington and Beijing remain unresolved. The United States still accuses China of unfair industrial subsidies, technology theft, and government interference in markets. China, in turn, criticizes what it calls Western containment strategies and demands recognition as an equal global power. None of these issues were fully settled. The agreement is designed to last only 1 year, after which both governments will need to review progress and decide whether to renew it. Still, the symbolism of the handshake matters. It shows that even amid deep rivalry, dialogue is possible. The optics were carefully staged, both leaders smiling, flanked by their top advisors, national flags behind them, and cameras flashing from every angle. To their domestic audiences, the images convey strength and leadership. To the world, they offer a temporary sense of relief. Economic experts describe this as a strategic pause. It is not peace, but it is not war either. It gives industries room to breathe, farmers new markets to reach, and policymakers time to reassess. The coming months will reveal whether the promises made at the table translate into real changes on the ground. Observers also note how this meeting underscores the new reality of global politics. Competition between the United States and China defines the 21st century. Their actions ripple across continents, shaping prices, investments, and security decisions far beyond their borders. The rare earth decision alone will influence technology production from Japan to Germany. The soybean agreement will affect commodity prices across Latin America. Even the cooperation on fentanyl could change international law enforcement patterns. Both leaders emphasized in their closing remarks that they do not seek confrontation. The American president described the meeting as amazing and called it a 12 out of 10 success, while the Chinese president spoke of partnership and mutual respect, saying that differences are natural between great nations but must be managed through dialogue, not hostility. Still, behind the warm words lies a quiet calculation. Each side knows that power and trust are limited currencies. The United States wants to secure better trade terms and preserve technological dominance. China wants to maintain its growth momentum and avoid being cornered by Western alliances. Every handshake, every sentence, every smile in that room was part of a much larger strategic game. For now, global markets appeared to approve. Stock indexes in Asia and the United States climbed after the announcement, and commodity prices stabilized. Yet experts warn that if either side fails to keep its promises, the fragile optimism could vanish quickly. In the end, this meeting may not rewrite history, but it does reset the tone. The message to the world is clear. Rivalry remains, but cooperation is still possible. The U.S. And as the cameras fade and the leaders head home, one question remains. Did this meeting truly change the course of the global economy? Or did it simply buy both sides more time before the next round of competition begins? The world watched closely as the President of the United States and the Chinese President sat down for one of the most highly anticipated meetings of the year. Two of the most powerful figures on the planet, representing the world's largest economies, came face to face to reset relations after months of trade tension and political rivalry. Inside a heavily guarded conference hall, the atmosphere was tense, but polite. The U.S. leader arrived with a clear message. America wants fair trade and reduced barriers. The Chinese president entered with equal determination, defending his nation's right to grow and insisting that partnership, not pressure, should guide their future. What followed was a series of intense negotiations that stretched over several hours and ended with a framework agreement that could reshape global economics. According to official briefings from both sides, the United States will reduce tariffs on Chinese imports by roughly 10 percentage points, lowering them